advertise the bid openings for the Roosevelt Park Pool Slide.
Put the mouse up there for me.
Yep.
President Emery, Commissioners, we held bid opening for the Roosevelt bid package 2 for the water slide replacement at Roosevelt Park Pool yesterday, and I'm here to review those numbers and share a little more information with you that I've gathered since then. This slide is a slide you've seen all along. This is a 23-foot slide. The one that was bid was 39. So this is a partially complete rendering of the proposed new slide. This is the avalanche slide that you accepted at post bid a couple of months ago. We're in the process of making it more photorealistic than this. We got it to this point, shared it with the Park District. They picked colors for the flumes here, for the slides, and for the tower. And I'm gonna say within a week or so, we'll have a completed rendering for you to view. But this is a pretty good view of what it's gonna look like sitting out there. This is our bid form, completed as of yesterday. We only had 2 bidders. We had 5 on the, actually we had 6 on the plan holders list at one time. The other 4 dropped out. So we had Matson Construction come in at $1,071,000 and Rolock Contracting at $903,000. This is a schedule of values that Rolock submitted to me about a half hour ago. This is kind of a breakdown of where the costs were on the project. The biggest item obviously there is pool equipment complete. And that's a bid from Associated Pool Builders. They're gonna actually erect the water slide for Avalanche. So they were the general contractor for the first bid package. And they have one of the bigger parts as a sub for this one. So this whole scheduled amount for each one of these categories does total the $903,000. To give you an idea of where the bids actually came in, we had compiled our costs as of March 2020, and this was what we were anticipating to see, that the total of the slide, which was this number here, and the other bid was gonna come in right at $1,074,000, and it came in at $1,394,900. So that's the original slide package, and then these other 2 get added in. That's what Rolock bid on this bid package. We are also proposing that the Park District carry a 5% contingency to handle unforeseen items. It's not necessarily money that has to get spent or does get spent, but it's good budgeting practice. So our total estimate right now is $1,464,900, and that is higher than the bond sale that was authorized a few months ago. So I believe $1,350,000 is where the bond sale is. This is what it's gonna take to do the entire slide. And I believe that's all I have.
So the slide, buying the slide and installing it is 1.4, or just installing it is 1.4?
Everything.
Everything is 1.4.
Yeah.
We buy-
Well, everything is actually $1,394,900 right now.
Plus the contingency.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we are within 10% of, with our bonding.
Yeah, we're like 44,000 over
44.
right now, without a contingency, but that's the total. That
So without contingency, we're, okay, so with it, we're at 90, but
yeah,
that's like
hope to not spend that.
6% or something like that.
I did talk to the contractor, because it was a pretty short turnaround from yesterday afternoon to now, but one of the thoughts we had is if, we're giving them the ability to finish the slide before pool opening next year. So I did call them to see if their plan was to complete it by the end of this calendar year, or if they would be bleed into next year, which might help you on some budget things, whether you put something in for next year, but their plan is to have it all done by the end of this year. They don't anticipate coming back in the spring and getting under the gun because of weather or some other reason. They plan to be 100% complete by the end of the year.
So for a shortfall on this project, I would recommend we use our line of credit at our bank that we're banking at right now, and then we can, during the budget process, we can decide how much to put in our budget to pay that back when the project is complete. So we can just roll the project through, and we'll budget to make the payment back on that right away, in the spring of 2021. If you so choose, that's, if we move ahead with this project at this price, that's what I would recommend for funding it, without then taking money out of our budget that we have right now. And that is a possibility as well, but you know that we're already down a little bit on, we're down on revenue, but we're actually starting to catch back up again. Things are going well at our facilities that are open, so we don't know if that'll hold or if we'll catch back up. If we catch back up again, we may be able to this out of our current budget.
How much will we have to borrow? Or use on that line?
We'll just use what we need, so, I mean.
Cause what was the bond number again?
1.35, and we're at 1,394,900, and then we have a contingency in there that if we need it,
So let's just say perfect world, let's say it was 1.4, so it's 50,000.
well, maybe 90 to 100.
Okay.
We'd have to take up.
Does it make sense to just borrow that from ourselves in a reserve fund and then pay that back as opposed to paying interest on it?
That's the other option I mentioned. If our revenue is decent, and then that's a possibility.
Sorry, I'm
We could
just
do that.
joining the meeting.
Yeah, no, we could do that as well. But if, if things stay the way they are, we're starting to catch up on revenue. We were down a little bit, but we're starting to catch back up. If we catch up during the summer and have a good year at our facilities, then that is a good option to take. Otherwise, we could use the line of credit and then budget to pay it back right away in the spring.
Another item is, these projects are scheduled to get completed by the end, that may not happen. We've seen projects fall behind, in which case we hold 5% on the contractor till completion. And if it bleeds into next year, it may be a moot issue, but their goal is to finish this year. So the money you would need to cover the overage is gonna be more in the October, November, December area than.
And to your point, Perry, we can borrow from ourselves to get to the end of the year, and then we'll know exactly what we need. We don't have to borrow until we absolutely need to, and then we can pay it back quickly, so that it won't drag out for a long time, so.
Well, I'd entertain a motion on our 1.464, 900,000. I'll move we accept the bid, go with the one, whatever happens, from Rolac, right?
Roll that contract, yeah.
I'll second.
I mean, wish that it was less, but it's not. I think the community is excited about it, wants it, and I guess some things are more expensive. Hopefully some things will be less expensive.
We do have in
I think this is a good investment.
We do have in the project budget a construction sign that's gonna have this image on it once it's all completed too, so people driving by in the park should be able to get an idea what it looks
So
like.
what's happening with the bidding, is it, these are two local bidders, are you finding that out of town or out of state are not committing the manpower and getting nervous, or?
No, we've got some projects under construction and this has not affected construction schedules of existing projects at all. But there could be some impacts for, delivery of materials in the future, or increased costs because they're not as available, things like that. I think contractors are generally pretty, I mean, Rolak's winning everything in town, right? So Manson, I'm sure would love to have done this, but they weren't tough enough on it. We'd love to have 4 more bids. It might have hurt us a little bit that Associated was the only pool equipment group in the mix. I mean, they basically have that sold up. And I think we ended up with a little more site utility work than we probably anticipated originally, because we had to get tied into storm sewer, and we had to relocate a water line that runs through the site and things like that. I mean, I'm still pretty optimistic that the bidding climate's good. I know you've got a couple of ones that have come in high lately, but I sure hope that's not a trend, because we're gonna have to rethink the way we estimate.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Hovda,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Olson,
Yes.
Wharton,
yes,
Emery.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next item will be the video scoreboard masonry.
Alright, Park Board President, Commissioners, this is a continuation from the May 19th bid opening for the center hung scoreboard at the Mesa. Needed some more information, some verification. After that meeting, we did hire AE2S to verify structural strength of the Pepsi rink joists, and then also look into the Eck rink joist structures for strength and stability. We're adding in, the new center hung scoreboard in the Pepsi, and then transferring the current one over into the Eck rink. So I wish I would have been able to get you this stuff prior to this, but I literally got all the information 5 minutes before the meeting. So just gonna kind of go through it. So there's a couple things with our bids. When we bid this project out, one of the main things in the under scope of work, all pricing based on turnkey approach to include necessary travel, lodging, installation, equipment to accomplish the project. So that's just one item I wanted to bring up before we get too deep into this. So just reviewing how the bids came in. Again, we had 3 companies that bid it. Watchfire out of Danville, Illinois, they came in at $179,998. Nevco out of Greenville, Illinois, $239,799. And then Daktronics out of Brookings, they were at $272,482 of what we had spec'd out for a board. So kind of looking back into things, going through it, the Watchfire company, that was the low bidder. In their bid proposal, there's a whole laundry list of items that are supplied by owner. So kind of looking into a few things like that, it would add a fair bit of, from their 179, approximately $23,000 in electrical, probably $5,000 to $10,000 of removal of the existing. That has nothing to do with transporting and putting in the other. So right there, we're already into the over 210,000, because that would be probably a minimum of 30,000 supplied by owner. So following up with Nevco, their bid proposal was turnkey. Unless we have to do a little bit of upgrades to the electrical. But other than that, everything they provide is included in the bid proposal. So I'm gonna go back. Now, the question was structural steel supports, to add a little bit of additional bracing. It's not that our joist wouldn't be strong enough, it's just how they have to attach. So there's some different angles where you have to attach the board. I'm not gonna act like I can try to talk the construction part of it, but That's how it was explained to me. So we'd be looking at a rough cost of, $7,650 plus some engineering fees for pretty much no matter what board of the three that we would put up. And then, figured out if there is, just by going through, AE2S did kind of verify electrical. He goes, depending on a couple components, there might be an additional $10,000 to $12,000 in electrical that we would maybe need to provide for no matter what board went. But going on watch fires would have been more electrical. So that's kind of where we're at. It's a little bit of a jumbled presentation to you, but right now, as Watchfire was the apparent low bidder, but at this point, I feel I would recommend that we throw out the low bid, because it did not meet the specs that were advertised. And I would recommend that we consider going with Nevco.
And what was the cost of Nevco?
Nevco was $239,799. And if they are awarded, I would go back and negotiate with them.
So you have to add in whichever one, another 20,000,
Roughly,
which would get them up to about 260.
roughly,
Yeah.
without negotiating.
But maybe we can negotiate down to
Yep.
that.
How much money do we have?
250.
So if you can negotiate down 10, we're right on the money.
50%, I'm gonna try to negotiate.
Well,
No, I agree, cause when I did
What if
this.
we give you 10%?
And on the other side, that's your electrical and your structure are estimates. Those aren't, the electrical could be less.
Yeah, again, as we're seeing on estimates and things like that, other than, some they estimate, fairly high right now. But when Nevco was on site, they did review our electrical, looked at our panels, looked at, kind of checked out the system, and Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, they felt pretty comfortable with what they saw in our current facility.
There's a lot to be said for a turnkey versus some estimates of 10, 12, 20,000. That, if you accept that, it is what it is. It could be 30,000. Well, I think it is. And if they met the spec, that's important.
So without negotiation right now, what the park district would be paying is about $10,000.
Commissioner, we'd be looking at approximately
10,000.
10 to 15,000
cost.
roughly.
I guess I'm not big on the scoreboards, but I go, Daktronics is the one you always hear. Quality of differences, you guys that deal with these between this Nevco, is it?
Nevco.
Daktronics, is there?
Again, they have boards, up in our area, I guess. Bob researched some of it, after they submitted things, and, they're all fairly similar, again, I am not a tech person.
I think the technology is pretty similar. I know that Nevco does a lot of work at some like Division II colleges and like mid-major Division
Okay.
I colleges. And so you're not necessarily gonna find them at, Wisconsin.
I just know Daktronics is kind of the.
They're the behemoth for
Yes,
sure.
okay.
Yeah.
But this is a good quality company and.
They've got scoreboards in some big
Okay.
facilities across,
And
up
What
in
about the-
Canada as well.
What about the timing for when you'd like to get it done with NISA?
Well, again, to discuss, if we sign papers this week and proceed forward, it's probably 8 to 10 week build. We talked about roughly mid-September, install. And, they said they'd have no issues working around our ice schedule, coming in at night, things like that. Obviously, if the ice isn't in, it would be a little easier process for them, but they install things on ice. And then once, they figured 3 to 5 days for the center hung piece, and then after that, they could work on the outside and locker and clocks and all the additional items, with no interruptions, and they would definitely, said if they were awarded, they would work around Bob's schedule.
fact that Nevco met the specs, they also came here. I mean, they sent a team here to look at the facility which is probably part of the reason they hit the marks that we were asking. They knew
I believe so.
They knew it, I know they're good to work with. I'm comfortable with them, so I'll make the motion that we accept Nevco's bid and you try and do what you can with it.
Second?
Further discussion?
I would just add that, the Toros did meet with, the company as well, so they were aware when they were on site of what the Toros would need to run their extensive show, and, they were fully able to accommodate our main user group, and White House State pretty much mirrors what the Toros do as well, so.
And that's one thing that, I had stopped in there to talk to them, was one of the subject yesterday, the Toros, and they've asked that whatever one we go with, that they be allowed to discuss with them and do some, like, they would like to have a camera on the bottom scoreboard, but they will take care of the cost of that. And I don't see any issue with the Toros or any other group that may wanna get an extra laptop, or if there needs to be, I don't know what the rule is on their software licensing, if it's
Well,
all licensed.
we did, I believe we did request there, will be 3 laptops or touchpads or whatever whatever it is to operate their system.
Yeah.
I know, it's one said touchpads, one said laptops, so we should have sufficient laptops or operating devices for them, but they can also, I'm sure, use their own drives and other things like
Yeah.
that.
I just thought I'd like to be able to let our major users, the high school, the college, and the Toros, if they want to pay for something else out of this, give them that opportunity to do it now, because, like I said, if you're gonna have a camera on the bottom of the scoreboard, it's a whole lot cheaper to build it in than to put it in later. And if they want to pick up that cost, so be it.
I think the other thing to say in the discussion is big thanks to the Gokis and the foundation. I mean, the facility is spectacular, and this is the type of thing that's gonna kick it up another notch. And with the Toros and Minot State and hockey boosters using it, creating atmosphere, and I think it's something that the community will enjoy, so big thanks to them, whatever we decide.
Anything else? Roll call, please.
Hovda?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Wharton?
yes.
Emery?
Yes.
Thank you.
That being the only 2 items on the agenda, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.